Welcome back to my next video of the day. So it's Star Wars this week, and we're doing some Star Wars videos. I do 2 weeks now, just because it's fun to talk about. I mentioned this in the last one, but yeah. So if you see more Star Wars videos than you thought, then yeah, that's my reason for it. So this week we're talking about something a little interesting today. We're talking about Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Now we all saw it from the first teaser trailer. We're like, holy crap! Now some people were just like, what the hell is that? What the hell are they doing? Other people are just like, that's cool, that's awesome, yeah. And then still other people are just like, well, they're making jokes like, this, the crossguard, prevents this. But let's actually break down this lightsaber for a second. Now give me 1 second. I want to get my pictures up here, because I have it on. Of course, obviously I used the freaking tag. Where are you? No. Kylo Ren lightsaber, where are you? I know you're here. I shall find you. Alright. There you go. Okay. So, let's break this down for a little bit. Now, I've seen the model they have I wasn't there, but I have seen the image of the... it might be from the actual movie. I think it might just be a prop, or at least a replica of the model for the lightsaber, the hilt. And it's very welded together. It's very clunkily put together. I mean, it's both menacing looking, but it looks like it was kind of scrapped together. It's got like this big, long, gnarly gash in it. It's got a wire sticking out, and I mean, it still looks badass, but it looks like something you just pieced together homemade style. And that does fit a bit into the motif of Kylo Ren, because he is apparently a dark side user and a Vader enthusiast. Wants to emulate Vader, so he makes this lightsaber. Doesn't necessarily know how to make a lightsaber perfectly, so maybe has some faults. Maybe it's just a crude made one. And then you look at the thing when it's actually ignited, and whereas most blades, if you look at Boyega's, Anakin's blade as a good example, or if you just look at any of the other lightsabers, it's very smooth, very sleek. It looks like a pure blade. Whereas this is arcing. It's chaotic looking. There's freaking sparks coming off of this thing. Like, the energy's hard. It's hard for the energy to be contained. The blade looks jagged, like there's electricity going through it. This thing is unstable. This thing looks like it could blow up at any moment. Anytime he ignites the damn thing. And I heard a really interesting theory, which, thinking on it, is not a bad theory. What if the two cross guards, the two cards there on the lightsaber, they're not meant for combat, but they're not meant to for any. I mean, they could be used as any other lightsaber could be, but they're not designed to actually be used in combat specifically. The blade is, but they're not like the whole. I argue this point that the whole these prevents this. Except when you look at the lightsaber, there's a good inch of actual guard there before the actual, blade comes out. So if you're thinking along those lines, no, the lightsaber will slide, cut your little blade thing or your little guard on the side off, and then your hand still goes. So that I didn't quite get the function of. Now, great, it still looks cool. It looks awesome, but I heard an interesting theory watching a guy on Fox on the FX. I think it's FX. Basically, the really cool the Kylo Ren saber you can get in Walmart or Target for $180. It's very cool. I've seen it. It's really awesome. I heard a theory that what if this is not meant for combat? What if this thing is so crudely made that he needs exhaust ports on the side to compensate for the excess flow of energy? Because when he ignites the blade in the trailer, the first blade comes out, the main blade, then the other two come out. Because there's so much energy buildup, maybe, that it needs to compensate for this and release the other two blades in there. Otherwise, the damn thing will explode. Maybe he's gone through several test lightsabers, and he finally realized, no, I don't know how to do this right. I gotta work around it somehow. That, I think, is a cool idea. I like that idea, because it's clearly he said it's a self-made lightsaber, as most Jedi's and Sith's lightsaber are. But the idea that, it's so unstable that unless he has these extra energy blades, basically, the damn thing could blow up in his hand and loses a hand. That's fascinating. I dig that idea. Now, how this thing actually functions in combat, it's anyone's real guess. I mean, we've seen a few minor instances of him wielding the blade, not an actual duel. That's how I'm really going to be interested in seeing how this thing functions in an actual lightsaber to lightsaber duel, which we're obviously getting with him and Boyega. What I'm wondering is how this thing is going to function just into combat. We see him arcing at one point with like a large arcing slash with the blade facing out. So that would make sense, in execution stock, because that's how that looked. We see him with the Knights of Ren holding his lightsaber at one point. So they look like they clearly got done fucking some shit up. So he's clearly able to use it. I mean, against normal civilian populace, obviously, normal soldiers, he can probably still deflect and things along those lines. What I'm curious about is how this thing functions in actual lightsaber combat, because a claymore, and this is let's call this what it is. This is a lightsaber claymore, more or less. This is a lightsaber broadsword. A broadsword is not the most nimble of, even a master's hand. It's not the most nimble of weapons. It's not, say, compared to like a rapier or a katana or something like that. No, it is a heavy weapon. It is awkward in points. And if you have a lightsaber, now granted the weight's different for a blade, obviously. The plasma probably has no actual mass to it. I believe they've even explained it has no actual physical weight to it. There's kind of mass there, but you really need to be careful because it's actually fairly light. But that being said, light does not necessarily make for easy... A light weapon does not make for an easily mastered weapon. In fact, you need to learn harder to master a lighter weapon than a heavy weapon, because you have gravity on your side to assist you with your momentum and everything along those lines. You have very little gravity and momentum, and too much momentum to necessarily know when you're moving, when you're not. It's very difficult to actually control a lighter. It's like bowling. I'm a bowler myself, and I've done bowled in leagues, so I can attest to this. You have a heavier ball, you have more control over where the ball goes because you have more gravity to help control the ball. You have a lighter ball, that thing has so little mass that when it's moving at high speeds, it's just not going to go in the direction you want it to go. So it's the same principle in this scenario. There's probably not enough weight for it to be a functioning dueling weapon. At least in a general sense. I'm sure he's overcome that in the movie and he knows how to use it, but that being said, there hasn't been, as far as we know, and we don't know if any of the other Knights of Ren have a lightsaber or not. He's the only one we've seen so far with a lightsaber. I have a feeling maybe one or two other ones have like a variation, like maybe a lightsaber pike or a staff. But I think they're all weapon specialists in their own right. One of them was looking like Boba Fett. Apparently he's like got Mandalorian armor. Maybe he's a Mandalorian. Who knows? But I think he's probably the only main real lightsaber user. So he, as far as we can tell, he probably hasn't had any opportunity to go up against another lightsaber user. So this will be an interesting scenario we find ourselves in when The Force Awakens comes. Now, granted, I could be wrong on that. He could be very well use that thing like a master, like a champ, and that'll still be awesome. But for right now, it's up in the air of how he's going to use this thing, because it isn't as awesome as it is. It is also an awkward-looking weapon. It's not elegant. It's very chaotic and jagged. And not just in appearance, but in the style, not just in the appearance of the blades itself, but in the style of the weapon. Again, a broadsword, especially using it one-handed, as we kind of see him kind of do at the very end of the newest trailer, just briefly, not easy to freaking use. So you're essentially using a broadsword with two blades on the end there that could easily take your fingers and digits off and a hand off, like that. So it's not easy. But who knows? So, is there anything else to touch upon this thing? Here's one question. Do you think that lightsaber is going to be destroyed by the end of the first movie? I don't think it will be. I think because he's supposedly a continuing character through the greater part of throughout the new trilogy, Kylo Ren. And I'm still believing that he and Rey are related solos, and I believe Finn's the Skywalker. I'm sticking with that theory until proven otherwise. We're seeing more information to come out. So until I see the movie or have someone actually tell me, it's like, no, here's how it is. And like legitimate facts from the movie, like the JJ himself said, yeah, this is actually what it is. Or one of the storytellers, I'm going to probably believe that till I see the movie. And here's that, that's another question that to pose just real quick. Do you think that we will actually, do you think we'll learn every one of their identities come in the first movie in Force Awakens? Do we think we'll find out what Rey's last name is, what Kylo Ren's actual name is, and what Finn's last name is? Because they've said all three of them have names that are relevant. So what now? But do you think we'll learn all of their names in this movie? I would probably just gather to think we would learn all their names in this movie. And then we'll get new characters along those lines. They're the new ones. They're taking over for the old generation. So that's just the way it's going to happen. So that's the way they're planning to do it. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole Kylo Ren's lightsaber thing. Now, granted, everything I said, I still think it's an awesome looking weapon. I would, if money wasn't an issue, I probably would have picked up one of the things from one of the lightsabers from Target and just gotten the mask and gone as Kylo Ren, my version of Kylo Ren with my freaking jacket and the hoodie underneath. Just, I am badass, motherfucker. That's probably what my Halloween costume would have been. But yeah, so it still looks cool. I look to see how it actually functions in the movie. I look to see if we'll find any sort of fault in it, learn a bit more actually about the lightsaber, how he made it, why it's kind of looks the way it is. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I got one more video to do, and then I'm done for the day. So thanks for watching. See you next time.